Welcome MCT4Cers to day 68. Today's 3-minute review, we get right into the lesson really, which is on volume. And we want to find the volume of this weird shape. And go ahead, you can look it up on your formula sheet. There ain't no weird shape like that, right? I'll have a look, right? There's no shapes that are that shape, right? Look, none. So what do? Well, there is a formula that keeps popping up on this, though. Anytime there's a prism, there's this formula, area of the base times the height. And in fact, that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to use the fact that this is a prism, even though it's strangely shaped, and the area of the base times the height is how I get the volume, because it's a prism, right? I've got these two opposite parallel faces. The volume is the area of the base times the height. And this just happens to be exactly what we're given. We've got 32 meters squared times the height, which is 5 meters, and that's 160 meters cubed. Now, that's for a prism, right? Prism is two opposite and parallel faces. What about a pyramid? Well, very similar, but essentially we take the area of the base, whatever happens to be on the base, remember it comes to a point because it's a pyramid, times the height, and then we divide by 3. That's the formula for the volume of a pyramid. And we're solving these types of problems today. And so here we go. Yeah, this should look familiar because these are the exact two shapes that we found the surface area of last class. And so these ones aren't real world, but it's going to get us in the mood. These are mood questions. So again, I'm just going to use my volume equals area of the base times the height, because there's two opposite parallel faces and they're triangles in this case. Area of the base is base times height divided by 2. The base is 5 and the height is 5 because they're at right angles to each other. That's 12.5, and then the height is just 5. And this is, I think, volume for the most part is easier than surface area. It's certainly what this question was. 12.5 times the height, which is 5, and you pound that into a calculator and you get 62.5 centimeters cubed. This one, it's a prism, right? Because I got two opposite parallel faces. Cylinder is what we call it. But I'm just going to use the same formula. Why not? Where the area of the base this time is a circle, right? The area of the base is a circle. And that's actually the formula that's on the formula sheet, right? Volume is pi r squared, and you might remember that one. Don't know. But we have the radius and the height, and volume is what we want to find. We did a little work with this last unit when we were talking about polynomial functions. This ends up being a polynomial function, doesn't it? The radius is 8 over 2, which is 4. The height is 8. And now we're good to go. Use your pi button. And you get something. I never figured this one out beforehand, so you get to watch me. There we go. Pi times 4 squared times 8 is 402, about 402 cubic inches. And we weren't asked for a conversion, thankfully, so we can just leave it as 402 cubic inches. All right, on to, I think this next one feels like it's going to be an applied problem. Yeah, here we go. Following pins, and this is some sort of pin, are made from brass, so solid brass for industrial applications. Find how many of these pins could be molded from 1 cubic inch of molten brass. Again, we see unit problems, but let's worry about that after. I'm going to find the volume of this kind of mushroom-shaped pin first in millimeters cubed, and then we'll think about how to figure out how many of them will fit into 1 cubic inch. So the total, notice no mushroom shapes, right? No mushroom shapes. This is a composite object, isn't it? Well, how would I describe it? The top piece is the half circle, or half sphere rather, a hemisphere or semisphere you could call it. And then the bottom part is a cylinder. It says right there, cylinder. So I'm going to do my work over here. Volume of a half sphere, not what's the volume of a sphere. That's one that we might want to look up. And this is the formula over here that I like, because I can divide by 3 at the end rather than the start. For some reason I like this one. That's the one I'm going to use. So I got 4 pi r cubed divided by 3. Now this isn't the easiest because it's not clear what the radius is either. So what's the radius? I know the radius would be from here to the outside, but it's also the spot from here to here, right? Right there. Well, that much is 6, and that much is 4. So 6 and 4 is 10 millimeters. And I get 4 times pi times 10 cubed divided by 3. I can put that all in one step in my calculator. Oh, hang on, but it's only a half sphere. So be careful here. What do we got to do? We got to divide this whole thing by 2. Whatever I get there, I'm going to divide this by 2 and then get my final answer, because it's a half sphere. And I get, and I can put that just as it appears, 4 times pi times 10 cubed divided by 3 and then divided by 2. I got 2094.4, and that's in millimeters cubed, right? Millimeters cubed was the radius. So volume of a cylinder, and I could use area of the base times the height if I would like to, or I could use the formula on my formula sheet, doesn't really matter. The radius of the cylinder is 4, 8 divided by 2. The height is 14, and I'm off to the races. Bing, bing, bing on the calculator. And that's millimeters cubed. Half sphere, a lot bigger than the cylinder. So obviously there's something about the top part that's important, that it's so big. And the answer here is 2,700, maybe? Almost 2,800 millimeters cubed. Now the question is how many of these go into a cubic inch? Right? Well, don't know because the units don't line up. Well, let's figure out what a cubic inch is in millimeters. Here's a cube. Let's pretend this is a cubic inch. If this is 1 inch, and this is 1 inch, and this is 1 inch, well, how many millimeters is that? Well, I'm going to switch my color here just so we can contrast. Well, 1 inch is 25.4 millimeters, and that's on that conversion sheet. I suppose we could Google it up, but let's do a little work. That's 25.4 and 25.4 millimeters. So how many millimeters cubed are in this cubic inch? Well, it's 25.4 cubed, which is about, rounded, 16,387 millimeters cubed. So I need to figure out how many of those are going to go into this. Wow. Go into that, what operation does that imply? That implies divide. So the number of pins, once we got the units lined up, we just divide. No worries. And that's 5.8-ish. So we'd say almost 6 pins. We could make almost 6 pins. Pits, not pits. Pins. All right, that's it. Thanks for stopping by.